It's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhale frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great. Just like cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical, Russ Belville.
All right, good day, tokers and tokettes. Welcome back. It's 4:02 in the Pacific time zone. That's 4:20 for my dyslexic friends. Glad to have you here. We got Alex Rogers and Anthony Johnson sitting in the studio. Welcome back, guys.
Thanks for having us, Russ.
Yay. Crowd's gone wild. Hey, some quick updates for fans of 420 Radio. I've been speaking with some application developers. I was just telling Alex about this. Some app developers I met at the International Cannabis Business Conference. And folks, when I'm supporting these things and I'm telling you, let's turn that off. When I'm supporting these things and telling you how much I endorse them and how good the networking is, I'm using this myself. I'm meeting these. This is working out for me too. So thank you, Alex, for having those guys there. The guy's name was Alistair, I think.
Oh, I didn't meet him.
Alistair. Anyway, but met a lot of really good people.
Was he from England?
No, I don't think so. They're all San Francisco guys, but Alistair, very interesting name, huh? But hooking me up, and so the target date now is by 420, before the 420 Cannabis Cup in Denver, we should have a 420 Radio app available on the Apple Store, whatever it's called, iTunes, and the Google Play as well. So you can take 420 Radio with you on your cell phone on the go. We'll make it nice and easy. All right, let me switch over to Anthony Johnson, who's sitting on the other side, trying to hide from the camera, but there is no hiding. We will get you on camera here. And Anthony is going to be appearing at our first Portland NORML general membership meeting this Saturday at high noon at 1125 Southeast Madison. It's the Tony Starlight Performance Lounge. And we're going to kind of do town hall and take some live questions from the audience there on Measure 91 and what's happening lately. So excited about that?
Definitely excited, Russ. Although you asked me to speak at your meeting, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll speak." And then it's like, "Oh, we're going to do a town hall now." I was like, "Okay, I guess I can take the heat."
You can take a few questions. Yeah, we've got it'll be the Portland NORML membership, so I think there'll be some friendly folks, and we'll find out what there's all these listening sessions that are happening too. There's one happening Thursday in Tigard and Friday in Clackamas. Are you attending any of those?
So I have attended a couple of the listening sessions, and I don't know if I'll be making those rounds or not, and hopefully we'll have one in Portland, and I'll definitely attend that one. But I encourage your listeners, I encourage the Oregon cannabis community to definitely show up and make your voice heard.
All right. We have a question from our chat room. Anthony, they want to know if you're getting involved in any of the California initiatives.
So I am, really loosely consulting in California and giving help where I can. In the lead up to Measure 91, you had to bring in patients, growers, retailers, professionals, the activist community, consultants, the lawyers, politicians. It's a big task to put forth such a winning coalition. And in California, the task is even larger in that California is basically like 9 Oregons you're trying to organize. And so, I've been asked to attend some conferences, to provide my insight here and there, and Californians have to take the lead, but I am definitely helping provide my experience, and I'm hopeful that California will be able to put together a winning coalition. But it takes listening to all of those different interests and bringing in everyone in, so that the community as well as the professionals as well can craft something that the community can live with, but also can pass a majority of the voters at the ballot box.
We briefly brought up in our last hour the talk about let's leave medical alone for now and set up recreational, and then once recreational exists, we can compare it with medical, see how things are going, maybe work on something in the future. But we also touched on how important this fight is in Oregon to other states, to California. Most of the states that are looking for legalization in 2016 are states that already have medical. So how we process this could be very important.
Definitely. And I've definitely heard from many activists in California and in other states that they are watching Oregon. They've been watching Washington and not really too happy with how Washington's played out, but they're more hopeful for Oregon, and especially the way Measure 91 was written, but with the legislature and the comments by our former governor and what the OLCC wants to do, they're definitely paying attention. And if patients are seen to be, thrown under the bus and forgotten about, that will definitely have bad ramifications for California and other states that do have medical marijuana laws.
One last thing I want to cover here. While I was there in San Francisco at the International Cannabis Business Conference, I had the opportunity and pleasure to interview Edgar Winters, the Southern Oregon man who's got the 25-acre research hemp plot. And we, of course, interviewed Doug Fine as well, who's been a contributor to ICBC and other events. And there's been reaction to that interview. It played on my YouTube channel. I've gotten response from people that are all upset that the outdoor marijuana growing of Southern Oregon is going to be impacted by these hemp farms. What's the status of this whole hemp kerfuffle, and what do you see? How do you see this playing out?
I see the state likely implementing rules and regulations around where you can grow hemp and where not, until we get the science sorted out. In Southern Oregon, you have growers who are providing for patients and then have based their livelihoods around medical cannabis growing. So their concerns are definitely legitimate. You can understand where they're coming from. However, hemp and marijuana has been grown in Canada and in Europe and other places, and I'm confident that the proper rules and regulations can get developed so that hemp can be grown in Oregon and across the country in ways that does not affect medical marijuana growing or marijuana growing as we legalize across the country.
All right, we'll be working on that and give you all the information we have as soon as we have it. Anthony Johnson's with New Approach Oregon and the Chief Petitioner who got marijuana legalized here in the state. He'll also be a major presenter at the Oregon Medical Marijuana Business Conference, March 15th and 16th. Check out ommbc.com. And appearing this Saturday at the first Portland NORML meeting. You'll be able to follow that live on the RB Live channel. Just check out the button on 420radio.org. And Alex Rogers from Oregon Medical Marijuana Business Conference, International Cannabis Business Conference, and probably someday the Milky Way marijuana conference. Who knows?
That's actually very true. We're working on it right now, Russ.
Intergalactic.
The intergalactic marijuana
Zoltronian MMBC.
That's right. The ZMMBC. Thank you guys for showing up here and all your support of 420 Radio, the Russ Belville Show, and activism in general, man. That's the businesses that give back, I think, are going to get the best karma in this green rush.
Thanks a lot, Russ. Appreciate it.
Really appreciate it, Russ.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel?
The Russ Belville Show reminds you to never smoke and drive impaired. Hang out for a while. Share. .420 Radio. Tune in, turn on, get highly educated. This is Radical Russ encouraging you to take a look at the Weed Blog every day. Johnny Green and the staff at the Weed Blog are on top of all the latest developments in the fight to end marijuana prohibition nationwide. You can even get the Weed Blog on your smartphone by installing the Weed Blog app for iPhone and Android. If it's about weed, it's on the Weed Blog, including my original writing. So don't delay. Read the Weed Blog today.
Oh man, I really dig this tune. You should really check out this groove.
Cool. Groovy.
Hey, check out more deep cuts like this on my show, Big Daddy Fink's Funky Roller Rink, every Thursday night on 420 Radio. Funky Roller Rink.
Oregon has joined Washington and Colorado in legalizing marijuana. We're Portland NORML, the national organization for the reform of marijuana laws chapter in Portland, Oregon. Join us as we celebrate the launch of an exciting new era in marijuana freedom in Oregon. Our job has just begun. Powerful interests want to white out the most important portions of Oregon's legalization law. By joining Portland NORML, you add your voice to the thousands who voted for Measure 91 and want it to be implemented as written. The people have spoken. Now it is time for the legislature to obey the will of the people. Find out more about Portland NORML at portlandnormal.org. Attend our monthly membership meetings on the fourth Saturday of the month. See our website for more details. Portland NORML, ensuring responsible adult marijuana consumers are afforded the same rights, privileges, and responsibilities as beer drinkers.
Will be in a moment, he don't exist cause he's an opponent. Be gone like fly, 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 seem like I came out of nothing, came out of dirt, I came out of something. Just like that, haters are frontin'. I stated the truth, I ain't playing or bluffing. I don't lose, I play my part. Introduce my latest art. You can choose to play this smart. Don't be a hater, no.
All right, welcome back, everyone. That's Neo Cartoon Lover with Superfly. Getting a little funky here on a Tuesday. Glad to have you back. It's almost 13 after the hour. It's good to have Alex Rogers and Anthony Johnson stopping by. Like I mentioned, Anthony will be at our first Portland NORML meeting taking place this Saturday at high noon Pacific time. If you want to follow along live, we will be streaming on the RB Live channel. That's Radical Russ channel on Ustream. And you can find the link to that on our website, 420radio.org. Just scroll down and find the RB Live button. Give it a click and you'll be connected to our live stream. That means I've been hella busy. Oh my God. I can't believe how packed this week has been. I've had 2 different conference calls I've had to be on, both Monday and today. And tomorrow is our board meeting, and Thursday is a OLCC listening session, and Friday is an OLCC listening session, and Saturday is our first meeting. So I'm nonstop until Sunday here. Also, should let you know that there'll be no live shows on Friday because of that Friday listening session. It's scheduled from 4 to 6. But if I can, I will try and do some live streaming of that listening session if you're interested in following on the RB Live channel. Will I be streaming with just the mobile phone? Yeah, it'll just be a mobile phone stream for now. No setup at these listening sessions because, hell, just being able to get the phone stream, I might have to ask permission. I doubt I could set up a whole PA, and even if I could, I probably wouldn't. So, but we will do the full-on computer streaming, not mobile phone, but streaming computer-wise on Saturday. That's part of what I have to test out tonight. I've got the whole new PA set up upstairs. I got to hook up the camera and the laptop and make sure this new remote studio is going to do what we expect to do. So, should be a good time. There's a great profile in The Hill. If you check out thehill.com, that's the kind of the politics blog Beltway website. And it's entitled Non-Smoking Pot Lobbyist Opens Minds. And it's a profile of Dan Riffle from the Marijuana Policy Project. He's the Director of Federal Policies. And he's a non-pot smoker who is one of our federal lobbyists. And it's an interesting thing. I don't know that it's good or bad, but I think it's interesting. And why I find it interesting is because this is something that comes up, that is considered, right? Like, if someone's a lobbyist for the National Abortion Rights Action League, we don't ask them whether or not they've had an abortion. It's irrelevant. Now, maybe a lot of those activists come to the activism through having had an abortion. Maybe. But we all recognize that a woman's right to choose what she's doing with her body is not something that only women who've had abortions have opinions on. And neither should it be something that only women who have had abortions can opine on. Now, obviously, most issue lobbies are going to have people that are strongly associated with their issues. For example, you can imagine that a lobbyist for the NRA is probably more likely to be a gun owner. But does anyone ask them? Does anyone care? Does anyone stop and say, hey, Mr. Gun Lobbyist, do you actually own a gun and shoot it? Again, that's not relevant. It's not germane to the issue because we're talking about someone's Second Amendment rights. We're talking about an issue lobby fighting for people's rights. So it's always been interesting to me in the marijuana issue where the default assumption is that someone who supports changing marijuana laws must be a selfish pothead. Oh, you must be in this because you like to get high. Even Dan Riffle reports on how, this is his quote here, it's interesting how much more professional my meetings have gotten since I first started. When I used to walk into congressional offices, people would joke, hey, do you have any free samples? Right? Now take any other issue. Gay rights, abortion rights, gun rights, any of these issues that are, big flashpoint issues in America. And imagine treating them with that level of disdain, treating them as some kind of joke, like, hey, you got any samples? And I'm not going to try to make any jokes for any of those others, but you know what I mean? It doesn't seem odd that we've been having such a lack of respect for so long that finally being treated somewhat close to where we ought to be treated on this issue is headline worthy. is noticeable, right? Is noteworthy. And that someone like Dan Riffle, who is fighting to end marijuana prohibition, not being a pot smoker, is somehow astounding. My goodness, can you believe someone who doesn't smoke pot is actually fighting for legalization? And again, I was like, wow, can you believe that a man is fighting for abortion rights? Wow, can you believe a guy who doesn't own a gun is supporting the Second Amendment? Wow, can you believe a straight person is for gay marriage, right? It wouldn't be shocking on any of these other levels. But with marijuana, for some reason, it's shocking. For some reason, it's weird. It's an outlier. Now, none of this discussion is meant to demean those of us, like myself, who are in this for a personal agenda. Like I said, a lot, women who've had abortions might get involved in NARAL for their own personal agenda. Nothing wrong with that. Doing the right thing, no matter why you're doing the right thing, it's good that you're doing the right thing, right? So it's nothing bad about us being potheads who are fighting to be legal, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But marijuana's always been this special kind of issue that always elicits giggles from a crowd that can very gravely intone on all sorts of issues with a drink in their hand and be taken seriously. I mean, it's a joke about John Boehner, the House Speaker, being a perpetual drunk. It's like a joke in Washington.
I can't can't do reefer comedy. I'm drunk. Two different animals.
See what I'm talking about? Hey, it's 4:20 here in the Pacific time zone. Time for us to take a well-needed safety meeting. Yeah, sure, I'm the only one here for the safety meeting, but I will ensure that I am safe. I hope you do the same. We'll be back right after this.
.420 Radio, the world's voice of marijuana legalization.
With over 1 billion people in the world, chances are there's somebody out there just like you. There are software engineers, pastry chefs, artists, and people with medical conditions. And what do many of these people have in common? They use marijuana. It's expected that marijuana will be legalized in California. And when that happens, what will be the biggest concern? Safety. That's where we come in. High Def Transit is a discreet shuttle service that also serves as a mobile vapor room. Members can medicate on board, while our certified drivers get you to your destination safely, so you can enjoy the ride. So hop in, make friends, and ride safe. High Def Transit.
Georgia. Hi, this is Willie Nelson. Alcohol prohibition didn't work in the 1920s, and marijuana prohibition isn't working today. It's time we stopped arresting responsible marijuana smokers. It's the fair thing to do.
For more information, contact NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Call toll-free 888-67-NORML or visit their website at norml.org.
Are you in the market for portable vaporizers now? Get online to vapes.buzz, the quick and easy link to portablevaporizers.now.com. Vapes.buzz has everything you are looking for, including vape pens, herbal vaporizers, e-juice, parts, accessories, and more. Visit vapes.buzz and use promo code 420radio to get 10% off your online purchase, or just give them a call at 866-264-2415. Vapes.buzz. Get vaping, baby!
Everyone knows music and marijuana go together, so let's wind up our 20 after break with the Russ Belville Show's Daily Toker Tunes, the best in pod-safe 420 music from around the web. Today is Electric Tuesday, featuring the latest in electronic dance music and other cutting-edge genres. Now, sit back and enjoy your Daily Toker Tune.
Welcome back, everyone. Time for our Daily Toker Tunes, but first, a bit of wisdom from Brian Kerr in our chat room, who reminds us all that in China, if you're a 1 in a million type of guy, there are still over 1,300 people just like you. There's our own 1 in a million guy. We've got Electric Bob on the line, calling us from Arizona. How you doing, Bob?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Russ?
I'm fantastic. I keep hearing rumors about Arizona moving forward on 2016 legalization. Are you seeing any movement?
I'm seeing a lot of movement. Safer Arizona is going balls to the wall right now with activism and just getting out there. And Safer Dave Wadniewski, he's the head of Safer. He's out there every day with the signs. And we just actually it's called Hempful Farms Cafe. It opened up in North Phoenix. It's not medical marijuana. It's more just all hemp foods, hemp clothes, open to the public, and it's a really big building, and they just opened that. I haven't had the chance to go up there yet, though.
Right on, man. Hey, and Arizona, we're really hoping can tip over for 2016, along with a lot of other states like California and Nevada. We could have the whole West locked up here pretty soon.
Yeah. I'm hoping New Mexico, too. I want to be able to take my ounce from Colorado to Arizona with no problems.
Wouldn't that be nice? Hey, I was looking up medical marijuana statistics on the show yesterday in Drug War Data Mining, and I noticed that Arizona's approaching having as many medical marijuana patients as Oregon. You got like around 65,000 or so now?
Last time I heard it was 50, but that was around a year ago, so I'm pretty sure there's about maybe 20K a year, if not a little more. Getting the cards, because now since the program's been in for a few years, people are getting their cards like that.
Yeah, let me check out. I'm just looking on the census here to recall just how big a state Arizona is population-wise.
Phoenix alone, I think, has 3 to 4 million people.
Yeah, you got 6.7 million, according to the census, 6.7 million. In Oregon, I think we're half that. I think we're like 3.5, maybe 4 million in Oregon. So per capita wise, you still have some like 3.9 million. So still some catching up to do. But now that the program is a little more entrenched, we did have like a 10-year head start or so.
Yeah, well, and the only thing about it is the prices here aren't the greatest.
Yeah?
It's $60 an eighth. I've seen some dispensaries that want up to $180 for a half.
Wow.
It's ridiculous, the prices out here.
So you've got twice as many people in Arizona and twice as high prices.
Yeah, even though California and the whole West Coast is right there, you'd figure it'd be cheaper here, but yeah, it's like you get a card and you're still paying street prices, if not a little more.
Yeah, we got to fix that. We'll work on that. All right, let's get to our Electric Tuesday Daily Toker Tunes. I see the name of the group, Amiga Breaks. That makes me think of my old Commodore Amiga. Am I on the right track there?
Yes, he's out of Nottingham, UK. He does all his stuff on Amiga and Octamed 3 or 4.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
So the song it's the group's Amiga Breaks. The producer, I should say, is Amiga Breaks. The song is I Have a Dream. Before we get to it, though, give folks a preview of the Electric Bob's Boogaloo tonight at 8 p.m.
It's going to be electronic hip-hop. I got some. I'm excited that you're going to that Dell show. I want to see him live one of these days. But I got some Del the Funky Homo Sapien in it, some MF Doom, some Tupac Shakur, a lot of good stuff coming up.
Yeah, I've been spoiled. I saw Del at the San Francisco Cannabis Cup, one of the other business conferences, I think the Ashland Business Conference, and then the International Conference that was just this last weekend or so. And then I'll get to see him again next month in Eugene. 4 times to get to see Del is more than I ever expected.
Nice, yeah. My buddy in Colorado actually opened for him. He's a DJ out there. He opened for one of his shows at like Cervantes or something.
Yeah, and he seems like a really nice guy too, so love that.
Yeah, exactly. Okie dokie, Rush, you take it easy.
All right, take it easy, man. Here we go. Amiga Breaks. This is I Have a Dream.
nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. self-evident that all men are created equal.
You can get 420 Radio on the go with our Shoutcast stream for all internet-enabled media players. Go to rad-r.us/420shout or just click the Shoutcast icon below the live radio feed at 420radio.org. The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. If you're detained or arrested, treat law enforcement with respect and stand up for your rights by repeating, "I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak with my attorney." Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at omarfigueroa.com. Connect with 420radio.org through social media, on Twitter at 420radio.org, and our Facebook page at 420radio.org. Follow us and like us today. You'll be glad you did. Growing plants indoors can be a rewarding hobby, but electricity bills can go through the roof. Then you have to cool down all those big hot lights. It can drive a grower insane. With Lush LED lighting, you can solve many of these issues and double your rewards. Matt and his scientists have developed the perfect light for flowering plants with far less cost and heat. And the results? Very effective. Check out lushledlighting.com right now and tell them Radical Russ sent you.
Welcome back, everyone. That's music from Synaptic Soul. This song is called Rolling Stone. I'm Radical Russ, coming to you live and direct from Rolla J Studios in beautiful Portland, Oregon. Clouds are starting to roll in a little bit, though. Our sunny days, I think, are behind us, and we're going to head back into 40, 45-degree weather, rainy, gray, windy, probably until about May or June. That's the way it goes here in Portland. But that's the price we have to pay for living in such a beautiful place the rest of the time. Oh my God, you get to summertime here? Unbelievably nice. All right, I have got to take another break here. Sorry about having to do that, but sometimes your body forces you to, and I'm going to take care of that. That's all you need to know. In the meantime, something funny for you to enjoy. We'll be right back after this.
Catching your legs. Now bringing your legs back up and catching your hands. Fuck you. You're awesome, man. Such sunshine. Mark you.
Hey D, I just wanted to tell you that you mean a lot to everyone that's here. Happy birthday. D just asked me what I want to be. I want to be a firefighter. I was like, I'm going to be a lawyer. I want to get in a fight with fire. And I'm going to have a black lab. I will go buy Hanes t-shirts that I'll rub around my hands. They wouldn't burn that quickly. If I knew what being a lawyer, when I was back. But listen, I will kick the fire's ass. Guaranteed.
Final round.
Goldman Dolphin Top. One thing that I didn't even take into consideration when we were doing this is how fucking hungover I'd be the day after. I feel pretty good. I slept really, really well. My head hurts. My body hurts. I have like a cut on my leg and I have no idea how I got it. I woke up this morning and remembered that I had parked my car in a towaway zone and the car got towed.
Anything else you want to add? Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah, that's a good one. So I think no matter what, enjoy everything in moderation, and don't get to a point where you're being an idiot, because that, as you can see, it really sucks either way.
Jive, marry, grifo, grass, hay. Technically, it's cannabis sativa, the common name, marijuana. She has found a crutch to see her through her difficulties instead of facing up to them and coping with them. And in time, she may be ready to try something different, something better.
Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
You can get 420 Radio on the go with the TuneIn Radio app for all mobile platforms. Go to rad-r.us/420TuneIn or just click the TuneIn Radio icon below the live radio feed on 420radio.org. At Herbie's Cannabis Seeds, we pride ourselves on bringing you the best quality seeds from the world's most respected cannabis seed producers, all at the lowest online prices. You can find Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. All cannabis seeds are sold as souvenirs and as a means of preserving cannabis genetics. Herbie's Seeds in no way intends to condone, promote, or incite the use of illegal or controlled substances. We strongly urge all prospective customers to check their national laws prior to placing an order. Herbie's Seeds at herbiesheadshop.com. Proud sponsors of The Russ Belville Show and 420 Radio.
Hey, this is Willie Nelson for NORML. And I smoke pot and I like it a lot. I learned a long time ago that marijuana is a lot safer than alcohol. There's nothing wrong with the responsible use of marijuana by adults. It's time we stopped arresting and started respecting those who smoke marijuana responsibly. To learn what you can do to help, contact NORML at norml.org or call toll-free 888-67-NORML.
Adam Hand of Handmade Apparel produces quality custom designs for t-shirts, hats, and other apparel. Handmade Apparel is the official design shop for 420 Radio, among many clients who rely on Adam Hand for everything from short-run custom projects to full-run clothing lines. Visit handmadeapparel.biz to browse the selection of handmade gear or to get a personal quote for your own designs. Handmade Apparel, a proud supporter of 420radio.org.
Told me a few years ago that we would ever read headlines like these in American newspapers, I would have called him crazy. Yet here we are, reading them. In the middle of the 20th century, in the United States of America, hundreds and hundreds of teenage boys and girls are becoming hopeless dope addicts every year. It's fantastic, it's unbelievable, and it's terrible, but it's true. The government maintains 2 hospitals just to treat drug addicts at Lexington, Kentucky, and Fort Worth, Texas. It used to be a rare thing for a juvenile to be admitted, but look at these recent figures. And remember, these are only confirmed addicts who have come to the attention of federal authorities. How many others are still only occasional users of marijuana or heroin, morphine, or in some cases sleeping pills? It's pretty hard to estimate. But there's one sure thing. Nobody is going to stay an occasional user very long. This is one game nobody beats. If you use narcotics, before long you'll have the habit, about the hardest in the world to break. And the dope addicts say, you're hooked. Well, how does one become hooked? The simplest way to answer that is to talk to someone who has had the experience. This is the home of Mr. and Mrs. Walter Howard. They just got their teenage daughter back after a 6-month nightmare that even Edgar Allan Poe couldn't have improved on. Mrs. Howard agrees to let us talk to her daughter, Phyllis, when we explain that we could use her case to help others avoid the same mistakes. This is Phyllis as she looked 6 months ago, a senior in high school, pretty as a picture. Just recently, she was released from the narcotic ward of the county jail in the custody of her parents. It's hard to believe that this girl is the same as the one in the picture, but it doesn't take long for the drug habit to make anyone over. Phyllis wasn't anxious to talk about her experiences with dope, but she could see how her story might be used to help others, and she began to talk.
I guess I knew about reefers, that's marijuana, ever since junior high. Some of the boys smoked them, the ones who couldn't get along, who were afraid of everything. You know, the ones with no backbone. In high school, my girlfriend Ann and I went around with Jim and Bob. They both smoked pot. That's jive talk for marijuana. And after a while, Ann and I got so that we did too. It's funny what it does to you. Everything speeds up to 100 miles an hour. You think you're real sharp and you laugh a lot. You feel like you're the biggest person in the world. But I didn't feel so good when I came home high that night. My dad knew something was wrong, but he didn't know what. Mother was sure her daughter would never do anything bad. I'd been smoking pot for quite a while before I met Chuck. I guess he was what the newspapers call a peddler. He supplied the kids at school with whatever they wanted. Most of them used reefers like us, but some liked stronger things. There was something intriguing and different about Chuck. I guess I appealed to him in some way, too. Anyway, I found out later what it was about him. He had the heroin habit. He was hooked. Chuck and I started running around together, and one night he asked me up to his place. I knew by now he started peddling after he got the habit, so he could get H for himself. He needed a lot, because he had a big habit. You know something about hypes? They're like a disease. They don't like to see anybody not using the stuff just because they do. Chuck finally talked me into using heroin. He said it would make him feel better. So I tried it. But I was going to be smart. Just take it or leave it. Nothing was going to happen to me. But before I knew it, I was hooked. Bad. I had a heroin habit as big as Chuck. I hadn't been home in weeks. Oh, Chuck and I were married, but it didn't matter very much. Nothing does. Not when you're on H. All you think about day and night is dope. How much you've got, where to get more, what you'll do if you can't get it. And then they'd got Chuck. They had to eventually, I knew that, but it didn't matter much. Nothing did except H. All of a sudden it hit me. If Chuck had seen the cops coming, he might have got rid of our supply. That's what happened. Chuck got rid of everything. Probably in the garbage disposal. That's a favorite trick of hypes when they're going to be arrested. But it left me in an awful spot. I needed a fix bad. So bad I didn't care whether I lived or died. And I didn't know whether I'd ever get another cap.
In the meantime, Phyllis's parents had nearly gone crazy. They hadn't seen or heard from their daughter in months. Mr. Howard checked every newspaper story that might by any remote chance have to do with Phyllis. But gradually their hopes died. They were almost convinced she was dead.
But I wasn't dead. I tried once to kick off the habit, but I was too far gone. You know, the police say, find a heroin addict and you find a criminal, and that's just about it. If you're hooked bad, it costs about $30 a day for each. Boys get the money by stealing or swiping car parts, maybe by holdups. Girls take up street walking or do what I did, become peddlers themselves. When Chuck went to jail, I used his contacts and peddled dope myself. Sure, I knew it was wrong, but when you're hooked, you can't help yourself. They got me eventually, too, just like they did Chuck. And when I was arrested, I was almost glad. I told them I wanted help. I wanted to try and kick it off. It was horrible. 5 days, and I didn't care whether I lived or died. It feels like your skin is being torn right off you, and then you ache all over and get sick and you can't breathe. Your nose runs and you have a high fever, and then you pass out, but when you wake up, it starts all over again. 5 days. But I was lucky. I kicked it off, and I've never used dope since. Maybe what happened to me will keep it from happening to somebody else. Oh, I don't even want to talk about it. And all I hope is that someday I can forget it.
Well, that's Phyllis's story. In the United States of America, 20th century. Unbelievable, isn't it, that such things can happen? Phyllis's case is typical. Most teenagers start off with marijuana. Then they decide to see if heroin has any kick. It does. Sometimes it only takes a few days to find out they can't leave it alone. In order to get money to buy it, they turn to crime. And that's the story. There are practically no happy endings when you fool with drugs. Doctors say restoring an addict to normal life is about the toughest thing in medicine. Well, what's the answer? Enforcement? Yes, that's one of them, certainly. In the Far East a few years back, they were lining up dope peddlers and shooting them in the back of the head. But it didn't stop addiction. It just made it harder for victims to get the stuff. No, the answer is a simple one. Just use your head. Leave narcotics absolutely alone. Remember what happened to Phyllis and others like her. Talk it over with your parents or school counselor, somebody you have confidence in. Some say the Reds are promoting dope traffic in the United States to undermine national morale. They did it in China a few years back. It's certainly true that the increased use of narcotics plays right into their hands. But why not show everybody, including ourselves, that young American men and women have too much intelligence to make such a stupid, ghastly, tragic mistake? Let's make tomorrow's headlines read like this.
Yes, the teenage dope fad, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies for having to take such an extended break, but sometimes biology calls and there's nothing you can do about it. But we are back and better than ever here to wind up this show. Thanks for joining us. That was of course, 1950s propaganda film. Love the idea that the Reds, the damn commies, were trying to take us over by infiltrating us with dope. Yeah, now it's supposedly our use of marijuana is funding terrorism. You know, we're helping Al-Qaeda and ISIS and Al-Shabaab. Wasn't that a Amy Grant tune? Anyway, all these terrorist groups are supposedly helping through our use of marijuana, which makes no sense at all. Makes no sense at all. There's not one bud I have ever smoked in my life that helped a terrorist in any way. You know, now I've been lucky, or, you know, maybe just, let's just say lucky. I've been lucky in my life because I've never had to actually go to a dealer. It's always something that's kind of funny to me when we talk about, you know, eliminating the black market and this idea, this concept of somebody, you know, flipping bags in the park or behind the school or in the parking lot or whatever, right? I have made one or two of those deals in my life, and even those were situations where I was just meeting up with someone in a strange town through my Twitter contacts, right? But I've never gone like out seeking a complete stranger in a park somewhere or in a parking lot or whatever to try to get weed. Now, this owes a lot to the fact of how I came about being around marijuana. I was a musician. As a musician, you didn't have to go find weed. Weed finds you. I'm turning into a Yakov Smirnoff routine here. Speaking of the Reds. But yeah, as a musician, you don't have to go looking for weed. Weed finds you, right? So I always had a source. There was always somebody in the band or a sound guy or somebody, a girlfriend, whatever, somebody you meet at the bar. But I always had good sources. And from that point on, and as I got into marijuana activism, I've always known the grower directly. So I am spoiled to some extent because I've never been more than a person away from the grow. Right? I've either bought it directly from the grower, or actually had the grower just give it to me, or I was giving money to the guy who was going to the grower. And I remember reviewing some statistics once about the levels of the degrees of separation for most marijuana consumers. And for most of us, it's not that far. It's a 1 or 2 step hop, either direct from the grower or from a person directly from the grower. That would be, okay, so I guess 1 step hop would be you're growing your own, right? 2 hops would be you're getting it from a grower. 3 hops would be you're getting it from a guy who's getting it from a grower, right? So I've never been more than 3 hops away. When you think of this Mexican brickweed, now we're talking multiple hops, right? We're talking from the Mexican grower to the big cartel in a bale, to the coyote that gets it across the border, to the mid-level dealer who breaks it up, to the street-level dealers who break it up, to the low-level dealers who break it up. You know what I'm saying? So there could be 7, 8 hops when we're talking about. And if you're buying that marijuana, the more hops involved in your purchase, then the more likely that you're aiding some nefarious entity. Not necessarily a terrorist, maybe a criminal of some sort, right? Somebody who's violent, somebody who's reprehensible in some way. But I don't think I've ever been that guy. I don't think I've ever supported, through my marijuana purchases, anybody that was not a grower or just a low-level guy who was making $5 or $10 off of the bag he was getting me. So this scare of us somehow supporting terrorism, somehow supporting crime, is largely unfounded. That said, it would also be interesting to know the proportion of each of us at each of these hop levels. That is, if you look at the 20 million or so people that are smoking marijuana, how many million of them are within 1 hop, or 2 hops, or 3 hops of the grow? Because if far more of them are on that 7 and 8 hop area than the lucky few like me who get to know growers, one-on-one, well, that could change all of the calculations here. Of course, the easiest way to calculate it would be to just legalize it across the nation, and then nobody's supporting criminals. How about that? There's an idea. Well, looky there, folks. Time flies when you legalize. That's the end of our 2 hours. Thanks for joining us here. Very, very busy here at Rolla J Studios. Getting ready for the Portland NORML meeting this Saturday, streaming live at noon on the RB Live channel. Getting ready for the Oregon Medical Marijuana Business Conference. Putting together a 420 radio app. Trying to bring on new shows for March. And then in my spare time, hanging out with Sharon Ravert tonight. So until next time, folks, take care of each other, Tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it, you